Hi, welcome to a little tutorial on assessment using Microsoft Teams. So I've got my teams down the side and I'm currently in my Year 13 team and the general class. And I've gone across to the grades tab. And what you can see here is that it lists in the columns the different assignments that I've created throughout the year so far, or since the team has been in existence. And you can see that there's different options given to me based on whether the pupil has handed their work in, whether they've viewed it, whether I've returned it with a mark, and whether they've handed it in and I've not yet assessed it yet. So I'm going to go into a couple of different assignments and show you some different work that I've assessed. So first of all, I'm going to go into Brad's assignment for user requirements, and this is the expected outcomes for a database in ICT Year 13. So the document's been given to me. This is the work that Brad's completed on the expected outcomes and the aims and objectives of his database that he's going to be creating this year for the coursework. And as I've marked it, what I found was I put the feedback in on the right-hand side here. And I started to sort of list it number one and explain where that would link into based on the titles that he's created in his document. But what I started to realize that as this started to increase, I ran out of space here. And also the pupils mentioned that sometimes it was difficult to reference, or to find out exactly what I was referring to. So I've moved to a new way. So I'm going to close that one. And I'm going to go into Ewan's this time. And what you can see here is exactly the same. He's got his expected outcomes with his aims and objectives, but I've got comments. So if I click on the comments, what you can see now is that these are the comments that I've started to assess his work against. So if I clicked on the comment, it actually drops down to the location in the document where that comment reflects on. So you can see that I've asked him to rewrite that in his own words. I knew that was taken from another document, so I could emphasize that. Here, I mentioned that he needed 3 tables, and he'd only included 2. So you can see that he's gone back in, assessed his work against my comments, recognized he needed a 3rd table, and has completed that. So I've just mentioned then that he's completed it. And I can do this, numerous amounts of comments. So there's no issue now about space given in feedback. And also the pupils now can sort of link up directly my comment to where they need to make that or address the issues that have been risen. So there are 2 ways of giving feedback to pupils. And it's a fantastic way really for the pupils to actually sort of see ways to improve and to increase their grades. Now I've got a point system here. So for this task, based on the WJC requirements, this section of the task or the coursework is awarded 7 marks. So I've made this assignment on Teams out of 7 marks. Now how have I allocated those? I've created a rubric. So if I go into the rubric, I've created success criteria. And all I've done is a yes or a no box, and it gives me an opportunity then to award points for the yes and the no. So I've done 1 point for yes, 1 point for no. So it doesn't just give them the success criteria; it gives them a description of what they need to achieve or attain to gain that point. So you can see 1 point here for clear statement of overall aims and objectives of the system. Second, success criteria, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So they would be those 7 points awarded. Now what I can do also then is I can actually start selecting these to say what he's done or what he hasn't done, and that will build up the point system. And he can then go in and see also what's not been achieved, and he can assess that his work against my marking and see which one he needs to now go back and complete also. So it's another fantastic way for us to assess the pupils' work against the success criteria, but also for the pupils to sort of recognize where they're making those mistakes or missing out certain tasks or chunks of work that they need to have done. So if I clicked done, it puts in, I clicked X, but it still comes back with the point system in there. And if I don't want to show that yet, I can delete that. So once I'm happy with that, I can return that to the pupils. You've also got an opportunity here to view history. So it shows when I created the assignment, when it was viewed by the pupil, when they first handed it in. I changed the due date then because of the summer term and sort of the end of COVID and so on. Then you can see when they returned it next, handed it in, and so on. So it's actually popped up now that I've returned it when I actually haven't pressed that button. However, it gives you that history there of a record of what's gone on. Now, one little thing that I will say is that when the pupils view your comments, sometimes they might go back to that document which is on their computer and not in Teams. If they do that and make the amendments, what they may do is delete or remove this document that they initially had and upload their amended document. What happens then is that these comments do disappear. So I would recommend the pupils actually editing their work within Teams, because then you can see, my comments against where they needed to make the amendment. You can see then the corrections and where I asked them to correct it in the first place. Because if they upload a new document, you don't get to see where you've asked them to correct their work. So as I said, I would advise for them to amend their work within Teams on that original document with your comments.